Yo, watch this video before you launch or relaunch your brands. Hello, everybody. Shushmita, aka 50 Shades of Creative, and myself are here live today to give you guys some absolute massive value to help you guys on really knowing how to set up a massive brand that is going to allow you to also have a lot of different businesses under that brand and really make sure that you are going to 100% crush it, not limit yourself, and really make sure that you're making an impact as well as an income without any limitations. So if you guys are excited for that, comment below. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Shushmita and I are super excited for that. Plus, if you can already see that, there's also a little gift for you guys because you guys are able to apply for a very special thing. And I'm going to put the link into the description or into the comments or into the whatever area around here. So if you're watching it live, you can actually click on the link to join us and apply for a ticket for Project 1 Million in 1 year. And if you're joining this later in the replay, then also you can go to project1millionin1year.com/Shushmita because Shushmita is going to sponsor you on a free ticket, which is absolutely incredible. Now, let's get started. Shushmita, I want to start off by giving you some praises because you are incredible. I don't know if you guys know this, but this is the lady who is behind all of the revolutionary, incredible branding of any of my companies. And I'm so grateful for her. She's got such a huge vision. She does all of the branding work for our top end clients. And even though she's very modest, I dare to say that this lady is absolutely exquisite and has such incredible knowledge, which today we're going to have the picking of her brain happening right here. So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I want to start off by saying, Sushmita, I'm so excited to have you here with me. And can you share a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and why you are so incredibly passionate about helping people launch massive brands? Please do tell me more.
First, I want to share a win, if that's okay with you.
Yes, please.
Okay, regarding my background, I have been with Chibaria. I have been her student since 2019, and this is the first time I am going live with you. And
Oh my
that's like
God,
in
crazy.
2019, the program that I attended, there was one time a contest. I don't remember what the contest was, but one of our fellow students won, and Chibaria went live with them. So that student was a celebrity inside the group. You went live with Chibaria. Oh my God. But back then, I had a full time job. So I had no, like, I didn't follow up with what's going on, who can go live. And
Mhm.
here we are. I know I see you every day for past few years, but I never take it for granted when I started off how big it was for me. And yeah, this is one of the greatest achievements in my life to be here with you on an everyday basis. And
That's so
yeah,
sweet of you. And right back at you. I'm so grateful to be here with you. We've been speaking for so many times and we never actually done live together. So yeah, that is totally crazy. It must be because we are aliens, both of us. But yes, please do tell about your fascination for branding and why, especially, you one of the things that you are always so good at is really helping people think bigger and allowing people to really create massive brands. Like, where did that fascination come from? And tell me a little bit about that history because people need to know. And by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to follow Shmita. She's active on at 50 Shades of Creative everywhere on the internet. So make sure to follow her. But yes, Shmita, your fascination of branding, please do tell.
yes. So I started my career early in 2008 while I was a student. And I have a post graduation in economics, by the way. But I had this core passion for art, like the visual. When you see something, and of all our senses, the most triggering is the visual. Like you
Mm,
see someone and something you feel, yeah. And sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be bad, and sometimes you don't even notice because your brain doesn't register. So
mhm,
art, and then when I wanted to start a career, because I was studying in economics, I pursued first in web design, then graphic design. And as I was pursuing, and I was working with web design agencies, advertising and brand communication agencies, what I realized was there are so many stories in just 3 words. And
mm,
back in 2008, there was where I was working. I am from Bangladesh, so it was all traditional in press and publications. So there was no easy way out. Like you cannot just watch someone and model that. You have to have an authentic story,
Yeah.
which you still do, but the execution was different in traditional media. So
Yeah.
as I was working, this fascination that grew because a brand, no matter how many people work in that brand, it is like a human personality.
Yeah.
And then how they talk. You have your accent, I have my accent. Thousand
Mhm.
people have different. But the words, the messages, one brand that generates, it
Mhm.
has an emotional attachment to
Yeah.
every human being. And to
Mhm.
work through that, how your message, you got this and we got you, your FLC family got you.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
hear it in your accent, right?
Mhm.
But and I see you, I feel your energy every day. But people who don't know you yet, the first time they will read this, how they
Mhm.
will feel. And it
Yeah.
takes ages and ages to understand. And we have it in our DNA,
Yeah.
but how it works. And once you put it out, how people reach out to you because they feel it in their own way. And I
Mhm.
have also worked on online newspaper agency. I was a designer, and
Mhm.
it was somewhat a big step up for me
Yeah.
because before that I was working in advertisement. But when I
Mhm.
went to newspaper, it was
Mhm.
more open. Like everyone in this country is going to read this. If
Yeah.
you put out an English word, a
Mhm.
distant suburban may not understand. So you have to be very genuine and you have to consider everyone. That
Mhm.
was a big step up for me. And
Yeah.
again, when I went into brand communication and event management and advertisement, this
Mhm.
is an addiction for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I came to FLC, now the world is my audience. Oh my God. Everyone, I would say, in my FLC journey, I have
Mhm.
seen no matter where you are located, it can be like a light year away. Your
Mhm.
energy through visual, anyone
Yeah.
can feel that in their own way. And that
Yeah.
is first strongest impression you can make.
Mhm.
And that's why I am
Mhm.
addicted to FLC and all wing brands of FLC and our clients. They are, it's like a buffet of
Yeah.
authentic personalities, and I'm addicted.
Oh, that's so beautiful. But I love absolutely what you're saying because it's so true. A lot of the time people don't realize that. And maybe some of you who are watching this, let us know in the comments. Are you already having a brand or are you looking to launch your brand? We would love to know and we would love to give you some tips. But I think what you just said about how if you are putting your brand out there and you're like it could be the client could be anywhere in the world, right? But it's like you're putting yourself out there in your energy signature, and that indeed is super super powerful, and not many people realize that. And oftentimes also in that brand message completely limit themselves, which is obviously one of the things that we never want to happen, because I remember that we have so many different clients, and especially if you're thinking about launching your first business or you already have a business but you want to expand it to bigger, that sometimes some of the brand decisions that people make are extremely limiting. For instance, if you think about the name of your brand, don't add anything in there that is going to pin you down on just that topic. For instance, if you're a coach, there's so many coaches that say, I am Chibaria Pailo coach or something like that, or coach Chibaria, which if you are only ever thinking of doing a coaching business, of course, then obviously that's super, super clear. But if you are really looking to set up something big, an empire, and you are looking to potentially expand or have the flexibility to have multiple businesses, and you would like that brand to be so big that all of these businesses can be following under that same brand, then you really have to think about what it is that you do and not limit yourself in any way. And I think that's also one thing that I love about Shushmita, because every single thing that you do, either for me, all of our rebrands, all of our sister and daughter and son brands, like what is the Hangout, we got the Hangout on here, we got Dogit, whether it's FLC itself, whether it's Chibaria's brand, or any of our students, Shushmita has been the one who's been designing it all, which I think is absolutely exceptional. But I think as well, what you mentioned about the power of the visuals is super cool too. And I think one thing that I really, really, really always just get so inspired which I learned from you, is that even one letter with another letter, you put it in such a way together that the ways how these letters are sitting next to each other, there's also symbolism in it. Like, how do you come up with these things? Because again, if you look at major brands, a lot of the time they have these symbolics in there that only like a trained eye, or if you know about the story, you would recognize. Like for instance, Amazon, they have the little smile feature in there, so that when you look at the brand logo, it makes you happy. You're then like, yeah, that's awesome. But many people are not aware of that. So what is like, can you tell more about that? Because I think that's going to be very important as well for the audience to take away. Like, what does symbolism add to branding?
Symbolism is, well, I cannot take all the credit because I have seen you how precisely you pick two. So I will share my side, then you share yours.
Like, it's a dance, right? It's a team effort. We're the perfect combination of people to create beautiful things. But yes, carry on.
So symbolism is regardless of language. One human, one energetic being to another energetic being.
Mm,
Given this case, we are human beings, and regardless of gender, nation, country, language, anyone can subconsciously place. This is called subliminal messaging. Symbol is subliminal messaging is like you directly don't see. Or when you look at me, you won't notice. When I look at you, I don't notice. But my
yeah,
subconscious mind is picking up 9,000 million information around me.
yeah,
So when you repeatedly see something, your brain is positioning it or attaching you to some symbol.
mm,
For me right now, your background, I see a golden circle that looks like a CD. I don't know because I don't know you.
yeah,
I know, Shushmita, I know it's a 2 comma club award. But if
mm,
I didn't, well, it's golden CD, reminds me of a golden era. Yeah,
mm,
that's very human. I can attach to that. And
mm,
when I then I hear you, I am getting more information, more information. So
mm,
repeatedly when I see that, I am positioning you with something I love,
yeah,
something that reminds me of something golden, something I
mm,
love.
yeah,
And that's how I position you. For
mm,
Amazon, it's the smile, the experience, and we know how
mhm,
giant Amazon is. And for
mhm,
Apple, it's just a bite of an apple. But
mm,
there's white, their
mm,
color, genuine, what do you say, their orientation is white color,
mm,
basic. And then for Windows, it's like we see an outdoor, but if you have noticed, it's in a window frame, like there's a subtle sign that you are looking through from a window.
mhm,
So for every brand, very big brands, if you
mhm,
recognize, you will see some kind of symbolism that will position you with something you know.
yeah,
And this is very strong for if you want people who don't know you yet to have
mhm,
some ideas for you. For
yeah,
me personally, I was born and brought up in the 90s. I am
mhm,
very attached to very rough grunge things. If you have in audience, if anyone of you have noticed, I am always working on paper, pen and paper typewriting
mhm,
fonts,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
my
yeah,
ink spatter, which coincided with Dogit, like the ink
mhm,
spatter, where
yeah, yeah, yeah,
at that time my father was a fan of fountain pen, and when I wanted to write, the inks would spatter, and
mm,
that's where it came from.
yeah,
So whoever you are, uh, not always it is necessary to have an outside symbol, sometimes just a font, like a signature style, which
yeah,
is the most popular style. And I
mhm,
will say Chibaria, the mother brand of all, Chibaria has a handwritten signature style, and so
mhm,
does Master Surya Kashana.
yeah,
So you can have a very personal energy to offer through your
mhm,
visual.
yeah,
And that's why I pay extra attention to how everything is placed on. And I
yeah,
would say another one of our favorite brand is FLC Hangout. Even
mm,
their colors are green and everything. And I
mm,
see Josie and Misty, we love you. So they are how green they are, and they are full of lives, right? So
mm,
yeah, that's how. And I
yeah,
would like to ask you, Chibaria, how are you
mhm,
so um, I have seen you, how much effort you put in the visuals and
mm,
how much effort you put in. and you even go like spacing and one dot that details.
Mhm.
So I am a branding expert.
Mhm.
You, as someone, let's say you are an entrepreneur and a businesswoman,
Yeah.
how are you so attached and detailed on your visuals?
Mm. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that because I really, really uh, appreciate that coming from you. And again, I just want everybody to know Shishmita is super, super humble, but she is so incredibly skillful and like absolutely you have changed my life. I really want to say that because the way how you bring energy to life in a brand is unbelievable. Like it's really unbelievable. I could not do what you do. It's so special. But that being said, it's actually I think also really powerful. Just before I answer your question, that for anybody who's listening to this and think like, oh wow, this is like such a even like deep conversation in the terms of like the association that perhaps your audience has with certain symbols that you could, if that resonates with you, utilize to then better connect with your audience, and that goes very, very deep, and not everybody always thinks that far ahead, especially if you're launching your brand or you're doing a relaunch of your brand and you're still, let's say, young in entrepreneurship. It might not be the first thing that you think about, but that's why I also just really want to say a huge thank you to you, Shushmita, for you being able to do this for all of our VIP clients in FLC, like whether it's our gold clients, our diamond clients, our titanium, our platinums, because it's like it's taken like obviously so many years of studying and expertise, and again you working in a variety of sectors that really is high level, that you take all of that experience and make the journey so seamless for our clients when it comes to really putting their brands out there in a spectacular and lifelong powerful way. So I just want to take a moment to thank you for that. As for your question, and for me, I think I have to give the credit to my dad, who's also here. Hello, Dad. Because actually, it came from a long, like my own eye for detail or loving details. Actually, I think it was developed based on a hobby that both my dad and I had for developing websites. So I remember when I was a little kid, and we used to always go and create websites, and it was just like a little hobby that we had. And then we would go into the source code, and we were just like, okay, let's go and make the website look good. Not a monetization website, but it's just something that we love to do and love to have. And in there also, I remember always my dad is like very, very artistic and very creative, and always giving precise feedback as to making sure that whatever it is that you create, that it is um, balanced and harmonized, so that the experience that the viewer has of it is as enhanced as possible, meaning looking at the dimensions of things, looking at the spacing, looking at the color composition, looking at all different sorts of things, so that whatever you look at is actually super, super beneficial, not just necessarily only pretty, but that you can put the message that you have with your brand or with your website or with your drawings or with your logos or with your symbolism, that the message actually lands. And artistic beauty has a part in that, like not the biggest part, but it definitely has a part in that. So I remember like my dad always used to mention those things and look and share with me exactly what he was looking at, and then also give me feedback with regards to design and stuff like that. So I kind of took that over, and yeah, and that's basically where my love for design and precision has come from. But then I guess the second part is what you mentioned just before about, if you think about what is the goal of my brand, and I think that's the most important thing here. What is the reason why you even go into business? What is the reason and the impact that you want to make? And how can you make the journey towards you communicating that message, and the client that, or the person that you want to impact, receiving that message? How can you make that journey as seamless as possible? So for instance, like in the aesthetics that Apple has, right, which all came from the ideas of Steve Jobs, he's executed that so well, whereas other people at the same time were not looking at those things. But because of the level of, again, attention to detail that he had, the experience of Apple users versus any other computers, or any other devices, is really enhanced. And that's also one of the reasons why they kick butt compared to all other companies. Not the only reason, but one of the reasons for sure. But I guess what you just mentioned before is a very, very important thing. And I don't know if everybody took the message that Shushmita had, but it's very important. And I want to share it again through a story. But before I do it, I do want to say, if there's anybody here who hasn't made taken advantage of the gift that Shushmita is giving, then I want to say click on that link and apply for a ticket to the next Project 1 Million in 1 year. Because in this event, we're also having a big section on branding that will really open up your mind and allow you to really think about, how do I launch a powerful brand, a powerful business, and really build an empire. So Shushmita, thank you so much again for sponsoring that for everybody who's watching. Now, coming back to the point, I don't know if I ever shared this story with you, or we maybe have spoken about it, but there once was a brand, and they were looking to provide a solution. I don't know if it was cosmetics or whether it was products or whether it was an information type thing, but their avatar was young girls, well, younger girls, not necessarily girls, but like young adults or girls, young adults, girls, that were of, I think our age, so somewhere born in the 80s, 90s, something like that. And they were thinking of obviously making a website and putting a certain style on it. And that same style they include in all of their branding, but also specifically in this example, they put it into the website. And they noticed that that audience was a big fan of Rihanna. And so what happened is that they had a look at all of the stuff that Rihanna was doing. They look at her albums, they look at the style, the colors, and all of these different things. And then they basically, in order for that connection to happen much more easily, they adopted some of those things. So they adopted the same color patterns, they adopted the same type of style. They really made sure that you can see, like, if you are looking at their website, you could kind of get the same feel as Rihanna would have in her albums or in her artwork. And so what they noticed is that when they applied those changes in their rebranding, their conversions went up by a lot. It was really, really significant. So what that story always told me is that if you really are able to go to that level to see, like, what is it that my target audience, like, what moves them, and what is it that they feel some sort of attachment to, like what you were explaining before, it can actually help you in getting the message across much easier. And therefore also, like you said before, on a subconscious level, because what they notice is that their target demographic looked at their stuff and they didn't even know why they liked it. They just liked it more because they did a survey afterwards, and they said, like, yeah, well, I don't know what it was exactly, but something, I liked it. There was something there and I don't know what it was, but they just seemed to like it more. And then eventually, obviously, they in their research showed that it was because of the similarities between that target demographics love for Rihanna versus the style that they used that was similar to that. Now, I do want to note that when you do things like this, do it with goodness at your heart. Like, don't just make use of these high level subconscious branding strategies for bad. Obviously, if you know you have a very powerful message and you want to make use of this so that you can more clearly make your point land and really impact people in a positive way, then by all means, this is higher level branding that you can make use of. But don't do it for bad reasons. Obviously, with great power comes great responsibility, as we all know. So, but it's just like goes to show the power of it and the power of the subconscious as well in branding. So I want to ask you another question, Shushmita. Basically, looking at everybody who's watching this or who will be watching the replay, what would be some branding tips that you want to give everybody so that if they are launching their first brand or they are rebranding themselves for a much bigger purpose, what would be some tips that you would want the audience to take away? Besides, obviously, the biggest tip, which is to get yourself a ticket for Project 1 Million in 1 year. But what other tips would you give them so that they can really make sure that they incorporate your expertise and give them a head start in their branding? What would that be?
I will share what we do as a team and what I have been doing. Number one, be very authentic with yourself. If you are into very clean, uh, if you attach yourself with very clean, minimalistic energy, then stay honest with yourself. Have very minimalistic, very clean, and readable, visually detectable styles for your brand. That includes the colors. If you are into very light colors and you suddenly see a very successful brand who are doing red, green, yellow, blue, and you want, oh, I will model that. Trust me, it is never a good idea to not be authentic. Always be authentic.
Mm.
And number two, as Shibaria said, look at the successful model brands in your field. So
Yeah.
if you are a coach, Shibaria, Master Surya Krishna, Tony Robbins, and Gary Vee, those who are teaching people, coaching people, look at their brands. If you are a personal brand, follow personal brands. If you are doing a corporate branding, follow them and
Mm.
see how they are doing. Now combine these two. If they're doing blue and you like green, you do green.
Mm.
But if they are, let's say, converting people by a very readable, very plain text, and you want to go all full on, let's say, disco style, find a middle way where you can have your colors, you can have your personality, but also know that in the end, the market is the boss. Your clients are the boss. Audience is the boss. So
Mm.
if they are not connecting to you, your brand, no matter how good, will not be successful. So find a middle way. My next tip would be get your message straight. And this thing I would give credit to Chibaria because from where I have worked with in traditional publication, advertising and brand communication, I am more into the storytelling side where you shorten, but this is not the era or online business, Facebook, Instagram, where in 3 seconds they forget what they see. You need to be precise and very direct about what you are offering.
Mm.
And in this time, do you want to hear the story of my life or listen to my heart? That can be life coaching, that can be medical health care, that can be podcast, that can be anything. So you have to be direct. Join my podcast. We'll share stories of our lives or be open with your heart,
Mm.
however you want to. So make sure your audience, whoever they are, wherever they are, get your message straight and
Mm.
then let them come to you.
Mm.
And number three, I will say that after you have, followed the, how do I say this? Found the sweet spot between your model brands, your ideal personality, and you
Mm.
have uh, pretty much had an outline of what your brand is like, and you have put out your initial work. Ask some experts. This one, I will say, whether you are coming to our event or not, if you are watching this 6 months later,
Mm.
always seek experts, ask for their opinion, get
Mm.
yourself a coach. If you cannot, I understand, maybe this is the first time,
Mm.
they will know things you miss and they can guide you about what are the possibilities. As Shibaria said, have the long vision in mind. Like right now, I can sell phone cases, but I know my dream is to be, have the most expensive cars.
Mm.
So there has to be something that will cover all these, the umbrella brand.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
one is non-negotiable. I would say that having experts in your life, asking for their opinion, and as I recently learned that really stuck to me is know where you get your advice from.
Mm.
It's,
Yeah.
the cost doesn't explain it always. The advertisements, you will see many things. Give
Mm.
yourself time to understand what you want and then take chances, know where to get advice from, and yes, that is when you know who are the experts and you reach out for help. That was
Mm.
even I shared in my campaign that once you reach out, the world will give you a hand to do it, and then
That's
your journey will begin.
yeah.
For me, it's Chibaria. For us, FLC us, it's Chibaria, one another. Trust me, you will have that once you trust, and this is non-negotiable. So these are the steps.
Well, bless you. Those are really, really powerful. And I hope everybody wrote that down. And if you didn't, make sure to watch the replays to note them down because it is, in fact, extremely important. Like any of the steps that you've mentioned, I remember like so many different calls, branding calls, strategy calls that we've had with our clients where all of these points came forth. And it's so important. Like it's just like the difference between setting up something that is going to last you for the rest of your life or something that is only going to be there temporarily, and also the effectiveness of your branding versus not having anybody taking it seriously because it just absolutely looks bleh, to say it in short. So, on that note, I just want to say thank you so much, Sushmita, for sharing your wisdom and for all of this goodness. I want to say thank you for everybody who is watching. If you are not yet following Sushmita, make sure to do so. If you're watching this on the replay, you'll be able to see she is the collaborator of this post. So, click on her link and follow her. If you are watching this live, as many of you guys are doing right now, as we're live at this very moment, then make sure to watch her and follow her at 50 Shades of Creative. And she will give you so much goodness. You can see a whole history of years of goodness, all sorts of tips. And I am very, very sure that it will brighten up your day and make your journey in your business and your branding so much easier. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to get your apply for your ticket. Shushmita is sponsoring a number of people for Project 1 Million in 1 year, which again I want to say thank you so much, because tickets are selling, but you're out of the goodness of your heart sponsoring a number of people. So thank you so much for that. And last but not least, if you have a question and somehow this conversation inspired you, message Shushmita, ask her questions. She's so incredible. I pick her brain all the time. So I highly recommend anyone who is really here to launch an incredible empire to do the same. So on that note, Shushmita, thank you so much. I absolutely enjoyed this conversation. We should do this more often, not just once every 8 years or whatever. So here's to many more live sessions together. But on that note, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to join, click the link, follow Shushmita, and send Shushmita a question. And Shushmita, your final words for this episode?
If you think your brand story can have a major shift by financial freedom, by having the right people in your life, having a good mentor in your life, then please join this event. Full stop. And if you have a brand and a business already, you can rewrite your story. You can add more stories to your brand of freedom, abundance, health, wealth, relationship. Please join this event. And yeah, it's a festival experience, trust me. If you haven't already, once you come in, it's a full on festival experience.
Yeah, oh, I love how you say that. That makes me so happy. So, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, we catch you guys later. And